All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. Members of the County Board of Commissioners are advised hereby of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest in the appearance of such conflict, and further are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter coming before this Board of County Commissioners with respect to which there is a conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict. Pray for us, Raymond.
Merciful and gracious God, we thank you for this day, Lord. Lord, we thank you, Lord, that our party felt that we were able and fit to take place of the one that resigned, Lord, and we just ask you, Lord, that you be with us, the whole Lord, each time that we make a decision, Lord, because without you, we can do nothing anyhow, Lord, and we know, merciful God, Lord, that you're the maker of all things, and we thank you for that, Lord. We ask you to be with the sick in their county. Lord, we ask you to especially be with the ones, Lord, with cancer, Lord, and touch them, Lord, if it be your will to heal them, Lord, because we know that you can. Lord, and be with the ones that the ambulance has gone after now, Lord, that they would be able to do something to help them, Lord. Always be with their ambulance service and their sheriff's department when they're on calls, Lord, because they need your help, Lord, and they know, merciful God, without you they couldn't do nothing. Lord, and be with us through this meeting. Thank you for these that's come out to be with us, Lord, tonight. And each member of the board and our staff, Lord, in your holy name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Then we'll make an announcement that Mr. Raymond Williams was appointed this morning, this evening. He'll be second through December 16th. Congratulations, Raymond. Any changes to the agenda?
I would make a motion that we move the finance report to number 8 and Tammy Holloway to number 9. And I've spoken with Tammy about that. She's okay with it.
And public comment will be after Tammy Holloway.
So,
And also, we had a request for Juanita Collar and Claudia Gibson for closed session.
so we've got Tammy and then the finance report, then public comment, correct?
We got the finance, Tammy, public comment. So 7 is finance, 8 is Tammy, 9 is public comment, and then add Juanita, Claudia, and close.
Finance, Tammy, public comment, right?
I make a motion to accept those changes to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Then everybody have a chance to look at the minutes. The May 14th regular meeting, the workshop and the regular meeting for May 19th. A motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
I second that.
All in favor?
Abstain. Adjourn.
Okay. Typically, I don't do a finance report on the first Tuesday, but in honor of Raymond Williams, I'm going to do one so that I can bore him. Okay. Because he usually gives me a hard time for boring, but we're really glad that we got Mr. Williams back with us. Because this is a revaluation year, we thought we'd take just a little bit of time to talk about the process of the revaluation and what impact it has on the tax rate. Because burning topic in all our minds. So if you already understand what all this means, then you can take a short nap. Okay, so what is a revow? Well, number one, it's required by North Carolina general statutes at least once every 8 years. And what it does is values all our county property periodically. It ensures that we're looking at it periodically and that the owners of the property are assessed fairly and equitably. Graham County did elect to revalue sooner than the 8-year period. Our last revalue was in 2010 because of the wide fluctuations in values that we saw during and after the Great Recession. So our reval became effective January 1 of 2015, and it will be reflected in our tax bills that we receive in July. So it's coming up pretty soon, and we thought we might want to take a little time and revisit this. Okay, what did the reval indicate? Well, the property values did change. Generally, vacant land acreage the values generally dropped from 2010. Lake lots generally dropped in value. Commercial properties stayed roughly the same. Older stick-built homes that are older than 25 years old generally dropped in value. And newer stick-built homes that are less than 25 years old generally increased. So if you've got a newer home, you may see that your value went either kind of stayed more steady or went up a little bit. And then values of mobile homes that existed at the 2010 reval generally dropped unless you made a lot of improvements to that mobile home. So the bottom line is that the total assessed value for the county dropped by $140 million. Okay? Now that's not just in property values itself, but also we lost some tax base from conservation easements, and we had some property move into the present use value category. So we have a mix, but generally, overall, our assessed value dropped by $140 million. So, we took a little survey, and I'm going to have this available to you. This is a report that our system generated to give you an idea of how it looked in neighborhoods and different townships and whatever, but just generally, Cheola Township land values dropped an average of 23%. So if you live in that township, you're going to see about a 23% drop. Stocola Township values dropped about 22%. Yellow Creek Township land values dropped about 26%. And then, like I said, if you live in a subdivision, I've got this available for you. I'm going to put this in the back, so pick one up, and you can find out what happened in your subdivision, particularly. Okay, so there's a big warning, a big caveat here, okay, because while I'm saying that generally values dropped, if you have acreage in an agricultural present use value designation, the state dictates those values, okay? It's not based on comps, it's not based on, anything that we do. The state tells us what those values are going to be. And so the value for agricultural PUVs nearly doubled from the last reval, okay? So whatever the state assigned in 10, it nearly doubled for 15. So if you have property that's in one of those PUVs, you're going to see your tax value go up instead of down, even though it may be in one of those townships that we just talked about. Okay, so how does that affect the budget? Okay, this is where I get involved. All of that other stuff was where Irma was involved. Here's where Becky gets involved. Okay. Well, the drop in the value, $140 million, at the current tax rate, and it's 46 cents per thousand. Okay, you multiply that by your assessed value. It generated a loss in anticipated revenue in our budget of $644,500. Okay, so that $140 million drop, if we multiply that by the current tax rate of 46, you're going to see a revenue shortfall of $644,500. So this necessitates an adjustment to the tax rate. Now, I've kind of been talking about this for about a year. If you you've been coming and being bored by me, I've been kind of laying the groundwork that if the value goes down, the tax rate is going to go up to adjust to get that $644,500 back. So that adjustment creates the revenue neutral tax rate. You've probably heard Irma talk about that, and me also, you've been coming to the meetings. That creates the revenue neutral tax rate to get everything back in sync in the budget. Okay? So generally, the revenue neutral tax rate is the tax rate that's necessary to maintain revenue net levels in the budget at roughly the same level as the year before. Okay? For the whole county. The county as a whole. The tax levy. Okay? Does that mean that your individual tax bill would stay the same as the year before? No, because everybody's property is different and the amount of the fluctuation in the value is different. Some bills may go up some. Okay, remember I said PUVs, property value went up. Certain stick-built homes, property value may have stayed the same or gone up a little. Some will drop, and that depends on the type of property in the mix and changes that you've made to your property since 2010. Okay? So on the average, the revenue neutral tax rate means on the average we're trying to come back to the same levy we got to last year. So what does that mean for Graham County? Okay. Last year we budgeted $5.3 million and some change for our tax levy at 46 cents per meal. The assessed value dropped again, $140 million. So the rate to create the same revenue in the 15-16 budget has to be a little under 53 cents. It wound up being 52.88, okay? And so I didn't want to just totally destroy Irma's computer system, so I rounded it up to 53. And so basically, in a nutshell, it's the rate required to keep the boat floating on the same amount of water we had last year. Okay? Got to keep that boat floating so we can fish. So where are we now? Well, once again, I said we were at 46, but let's back up about 5 years. Because when we did the revow at 2010, the revenue neutral rate was at 40.5. And some of you were with us when we set that budget, and it was a very tight budget at 40.5. So over time, that rate has gone up 5.5 cents above revenue neutral. Why? Why did it go up? Just so we can back up for just a minute. Because we wanted to maintain the health, safety, and welfare of our residents. Okay? It helped us to continue to support the schools at the present level of $570 a year, okay? And it also helped to support shortfalls in sales tax revenues that are earmarked to help pay the school bond payments, okay? Because we pay about not quite $400,000 a year for school bond payments. It also helped us to increase our public safety support. It covered some unfunded mandates. If some of you were around last year, we had to take the bite on the Affordable Care Act. So that was a mandate we had to cover. So it helped us to cover that. And then it helps us cover costs of like garbage. Okay? Now most of us kind of think that when we throw our garbage away, it just magically goes away. But we actually have to haul that to Georgia. So we've got to have infrastructure in place so that we can dispose of our garbage. And garbage is expensive. So that's what the 46 cent rate has helped us support. And I'm sorry, this is little, but so what are our needs that we have now? Well, number one, we have to maintain fiscal accountability with the state. And some of you guys have been here and you have listened to me for right now 6 years talk about this, that we have to maintain healthy fund balance levels. Now, at the end, when I first came here in 2009, our fund balance was at about 6% of our total expenditures. We had less than 1 month of expenditures in reserve to float our boat if we had a crisis, okay? That was 2% lower than the minimum of what the state requires, okay? What the state likes us to do is be at right at 35% for our population group, okay? So we're still trying to build that fund balance to the level that's going to keep local government commission at bay, okay? Number two, we still are having issues with public safety. We have fleet management that we have tried to put into place to where we have a revolving fleet. If you'll remember, a couple of years ago, we needed to buy an ambulance, and basically we have to buy an ambulance about once a year to maintain a fleet of 3 trucks, okay? So we have to continue to try to get our fleet back to where it should have been. We had to buy 2 trucks in 1 year, which nearly killed us because things had been shoved off into the future. Right now, we're needing 3 to 4 cardiac monitors. Our cardiac monitors that are on the trucks right now are 11 years old. They're outdated. They're not compliant with some of the requirements that we're supposed to have. And so we need to have that state-of-the-art equipment. And then we need to make sure that Grant County is not a training ground. Okay? It costs money to fund turnover. And we need to be able to support and make sure that we have the best and the brightest in all of our departments, but also that we're following a reasonable and rational pay plan. So we're trying to create a culture in the county where we're doing things as efficiently as possible for the least cost. But at the same time, we don't want to be training people to go to another county. The other piece is maintaining our aging infrastructure. Unfortunately, when we were in the Great Recession, we had to really tighten the budget, and a lot of things had to be put off. And so we've got buildings that need to be repaired and upgraded. For example, this building right here, we took the bite this year and we did this work, and there's more work that's got to be done back there. Now, $100,000 is what we spent to fix this part of the building. We're already reaping rewards because our power bill for this building was running $3,000 a month. As soon as we got all the insulation and things fixed, it dropped to about $1,200 a month. So we got to make sure that we're wisely using our resources so that we're taking care of things to where we don't have holes that we're heating and cooling the outside. The library needs a roof. It's going to cost about $85,000 to fix that building. We've got sanitation trucks that are falling apart. They need to be overhauled. They need to be fixed to where we don't leave a load of garbage on the interstate one of these days, which is going to happen. That's $60,000. And then we have other state mandates that tell us that we have to have better security, that we got to spend for that upgraded security so that we're not out of compliance. Kind of like with the election board issue. We're getting out of compliance. We've got to do something to make sure that we're staying in state and federal compliance. So what rate will support the needs? Well, first of all, I want to say that our Board of Commissioners is truly committed to utilizing every available revenue source. And they grill me in budget meetings. Have you pulled in every piece of revenue that you know so that we don't place any undue burden on the taxpayers? We did an extensive evaluation of different types of property. We pulled property cards, and I did spreadsheet after spreadsheet of what a typical tax bill is going to look like. And so what we're determining is that we're going to probably need to set the tax rate at about 58.5. That's 5.5 cents above revenue neutral, and that's where we were already. Okay, so let's see how that shakes out. Well, first of all, I want to take a little commercial break on behalf of schools, because what I didn't know until I became a finance officer is that the tax rate directly impacts the schools, especially schools in rural areas, due to the low wealth formula. Now, it's a formula that if you'd like to come help me calculate, it's 171 lines on an Excel spreadsheet, okay? But basically the way it works is that it's a backwards relationship, and it all hinges on comparing our tax rate to what the state average tax rate is. okay? So if we're way below that, we can really cost the school some money. So right now, for 14, we were 18 cents lower than the average meal rate at 46. They still got some money, but not as much as they could. But if you guys will remember the budget hearing right before they set the budget where they set it at 40 and a half, and they asked me what impact that would have, and I said, I think I'm not, no, they wanted to set it below 40 and a half, and they asked me what it would do to me, and I said, well, I may have to be sick right here in front of you. Okay, well, it had an impact. We barely could make it, and also the schools lost over $39,000 in low-out funding just because the tax rate was set at revenue neutral. So raising the tax rate from 40 and a half to 46 allowed those low-out funds to come back into play, and the schools got close to $50,000 because the board adjusted the tax rate up a little closer to what the state effective tax rate. So anything less is simply backing up as far as our schools are concerned. So there's my commercial break for the schools. So where will the 5.5 cents go? Well, I've already talked about the cardiac monitors, that's about a penny. We got to make these repairs, that's about a penny and a half. We need to continue our rotation of the fleet, and we're still dealing with vehicles that are outdated and wore out, and we got to get fixed so that we can be in a rational cycle. And then we need to make some pay plan adjustments. We started in 13, we stalled them out in 14 because of Stanley. We need to get back to making our pay plan a fair and reasonable and rational pay plan. So that's where the 5.5 cents would go, above revenue neutral. So, always the bottom line is, how does it affect me? Okay? Well, you might be a little surprised. Remember I said vacant land generally went down? I took some different parcels. I didn't want to bore you forever, so I just took one particular parcel, and I said, you know what? For that particular parcel, the parcel value was at $112,200. At 10 and 15, it became $82,500. Property tax that person paid at 46 this year was $516.12. At 58.5, they're going to pay $482.63. So even with the rate being at 5.5 cents above revenue neutral, people generally owning vacant land, if it's not under PUV, will probably pay some less. What about that older home? Well, their value was $84,250. It drops to $74,50 at 46 cents under the old reval. They paid $388.79. At 58 and a half, they'll pay $412.13. So their tax bill will go up about $25 to $23. Okay, so it's not totally breaking the bank. The ones that are going to get hit a little worse than others are the people who have the newer homes. Because like I said, if their value stayed about the same or went up a little bit, then it's going to be harder for them to, take up the slack. So somebody's home went down just a tad, but because they stayed basically the same, their taxes will increase about $209. But I want to make this comment. A lot of the parcels in Grant County are just land, okay? So I want to make that comment. Now, if you had a double wide and it was in service in 10, and you made no changes to it, your value is going to drop quite a bit because double wides kind of depreciate in value. And so they went down by about $35, okay? But once again, if they made a lot of improvements, I'm just talking in generalities, okay? Because that will affect it. But if they made no improvements, then they're going to decrease about $35. Well, are you going to have sticker shock? Well, it depends. That's always the famous answer for every CPA is it depends. It depends on the type of dwelling you live in. It depends on the age of the dwelling you live in. It depends on the mix of your property portfolio. It depends on your neighborhood. It depends if you own commercial property or you have property in a PUV. But remember that the overall assessed values went down. And remember that the Board of Commissioners is committed, and so am I, to maintaining strict cost controls and strict internal controls in our system to make sure that every penny that you pay for your taxes is counted and maintained, and that your services are enhanced. Any questions? Over to me. Okay. What I do, I'm going to put right here is the actual PowerPoint we constructed, so you can take this home and peruse it, as well as the neighborhood report. So you can feel free, I've got plenty, so feel free to take this with you when you leave this evening.
Thank you, Becky.
You actually did more, Rebecca.
Thank y'all for letting me come tonight, and I'm here on two different things. I was at the previous meeting in reference to the grounds, and I do want to thank everybody that worked on that to get the grounds in a little bit better shape, and ask where the board is on keeping them where they're at, you know, to get them back. I know we've not, because of the weather and everybody's meetings, that it's not been able to be finished, and I understand that. But I'm hoping that y'all may have talked after the meeting to see if something has been put into plan, because I came to work, well, I didn't come to work, I came to the courthouse on Saturday because it was so hot, and watered the flowers that Juanita and somebody had put out there, and there's two big urns out there, and I watered them, you know, and I was going to come back on Sunday and water them, but it rained. And I know nobody can do that. That's not what I'm saying. I said I would take care of that. I don't care one bit to do that. I care that much about how our courthouse looks. But I am concerned. When I came in Monday, there was a street dance on the weekend, and those two trash cans out there have still got the same trash in them that they had on Monday. When I come in on Monday, it's still there. It's to the top. And it's just stuff that has to be done on a regular, weekly basis. And I mean, it's a need. And I know y'all probably feel like she's just up here growling and wanting this and wanting that, but I take pride in the county that I love. And I know y'all do too. But we've got to have something set up, either an individual that would come in that we could hire, that the county could hire, and they could work maybe 20 hours a week through a certain amount of time from early March through October even.
That was supposed to be taken care of, Tammy, and I don't know why it wasn't, so I'll make sure that's addressed.
Okay. And it needs to be, those kids worked hard. They worked hard, but it takes an adult. It takes somebody. You know, everybody's not like Juanita that can work and do all that stuff to sit. I can't see like Juanita does to be able to trim things. That's not me. But I'm as neat. I like to be as neat as Juanita does with my stuff, you know, and just using that as an example, you know, for that. But it is a need for our county to look, you know, that we make that appearance. That's our first appearance that you see when you come there. And there are lots of people. I would say probably more people come to the courthouse than any other county building that we have. You know, there's more taxpayers that come there than probably, that use that building more than any other building in our county. So if y'all, I ask if y'all would consider, like Greg said, if y'all would consider that, you know, hiring an adult that would be willing, that we could pay to do this, and have, let us sit down with the grounds committee when we have one, and let them tell not only the courthouse, Alicia, the health department, the transit, this building, they all, the library, they all, this is our county, and I'm proud to be from Graham County. So I just think that we need to show pride in the buildings that allow us to work in. So that was my first thing. I'm here, I was asked by our senior resident Superior Court Judge, the Honorable William Coward, on May the 14th, when he was here for administrative court, which he has just implemented since he was elected, and it's working really well for our court system. We, on that administrative day, he comes just with the defendants and the attorneys, and they're able to either work out a plea or set it over to a trial calendar. It's going to shorten our calendar some, where we can get them into, and they'll be put on a trial calendar, and they will go before, a jury then. So this is something that's really working good. I do admire him for this. It was something that Judge Downs just didn't foresee, didn't have the foresight to see into the future like some of the younger judges. Nothing against him, but he wanted me to ask if the county commissioners had thought of any pursuing the letter that Judge Letts, who held the trial back last year in the Clifford Williams murder trial. I have a copy, if I may, hand this out to you guys. This is Judge Letts' letter that he wrote to Judge Coward. Judge Letts is the senior resident Superior Court judge in 30B, which is Haywood and Jackson counties. And he was the judge presiding over the 3-week murder trial that we had in Graham County. And in this letter that he wrote, there's some, he handed out to each juror after the trial a jury service exit questionnaire. All of them didn't return them back because when it was over, after 3 weeks, they were ready to leave. I mean, and I can't say that I blame them, I was ready to leave too. But on, in the letter, and y'all can look at this, I'm just here just because Judge Coward asked me to come. But on February the 13th of this year, Rebecca and Ricky Gibson, we sat in on a conference call with Doug Kaplan, and he does assessment needs for counties in different states. He works for Heery, H-E-E-R-Y. It's an architectural engineering company and architecture design company. Mr. Kaplan works out of the Orlando office, and I have for Mr. Cable that I will give him at the end the different, there's several locations that they have, offices that they have, so they work worldwide by going around. They have been, he has sent me an email of the assessment needs for Jackson County that they've done there, and that's where Judge Letts has been in talking with them, and this gentleman was very nice when Becky and I and Ricky, we sat in. He said he'd be willing, but again, it's going to cost money for him to come. So this is something that Judge Coward just wanted me to ask y'all, if y'all would put some feelers out there to see if you could hire someone that would go and look to see if they're grant money, if there's, because in the future, it's going to be to where we have to have it, because I'll give an example. During the trial, and he didn't put this in this letter, we had to flush a toilet that's for our use, we had to get a bucket from under the sink. We had to get the court reporter to get a bucket to be able to flush the toilet. That's how bad our water system is in the court. That's just one example that I can tell. Judge Letts didn't have no clue on that, so that's not even in there. And I spoke with Judge Coward standing at the bench there in the courtroom, and he told me, he said, Judge Letts has told me that if he has to come back to Graham County for a serious felony jury trial, that he will not hold it in Graham County. And I said, okay. I said, so what does that mean? And he said, well, that means that Graham County would be responsible to transport the jury, the bailiff, and the security, and the clerk over to whichever county he chooses to have that court held in. So we're talking about if you had to haul a jury to be able to pick a jury for a murder trial, let's say a murder trial, I would normally I usually pull about 125 to 150 just for if it's not a big trial that we're going to have. But for a murder trial, I would have to pull at least 250 to to 300 people. Out of that, we're going to get people that's aged out. We've got people that are sick, that's got doctor's excuses. Out of that 300, I would probably roughly have 150 at least that would come. So that's 150 people on that first day that we're going to have to haul to wherever, unless they do it in a random order if they did it that. And I'm sure that he might try to work with that. That's just a scenario that I just wanted to put out there for y'all. But now again, that's Judge Letts. That's not any other of the judges have ever said that. And that's not Judge Coward that's saying that, who is our senior resident Superior Court judge. And I wanted to invite each of you to come to court to observe how our court works and see how it is, how crowded it is sometimes. We have court this Thursday, which is a district criminal day. And then again, we have a jury, 2 jury sessions. One will be the week of August 31st through the 4th, and then September the 21st through the 25th. And those are all in Graham County. We have Superior Court 5 times a year. All of our sessions are mixed with criminal/civil or civil/criminal, whichever ones. The first one, the week in August, that's a civil session, but I do know for a fact that our new ADA is putting out a backup criminal calendar, which our previous district attorney, he quit doing. And in the 21 years that I've been in the clerk's office, I have never seen the elected district attorney call a Superior Court calendar. And Miss Ashley Welch, when we had court the last time, she called it and marked that calendar. So it's good to have, you know, some change sometimes, and I do appreciate y'all. And again, Judge Coward just asked me to come, and I appreciate anything that y'all can do to just let us know. If you have any questions for me or him, Judge Letts, and then Judge Richard Walker is our Chief District Court Judge. He is out of Hayesville, and his main office is in Waynesville. So anytime, again, I can get you in contact with any of them. If anybody wants a copy for me to send that email to you that Mr. Kaplan sent on the assessment of the Jackson County Courthouse, I'll be glad to send that to you. Just send me an email or ask him, and I can send it to him, and she can forward it to whoever. Any questions?
I don't have any objections to checking into it. I just don't like to work under threats.
I know.
I don't and I tell him to his face that I don't appreciate him threatening us whenever we're such a small county. And the state has got plenty of money, and he could help us instead of threatening us. And I don't work under threats.
I understand.
But I am for Greg and Andy or whoever checking in to see if we can get grants. And I understand the situation. I've been in the courtroom many times and seen what goes on. But I am not going to work under a threat just because he said that.
And I totally understand. And you understand that I'm just saying what he asked me to say.
I understand that.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. And I'll give you, here, this is Mr. Kaplan, that I spoke with. And Becky, thank you.
Greg, maybe you took care of the grounds.
Yes, sir. It's been addressed. I'll follow up with that. I'm not sure we're going to allow.
We need to know about that.
We've got a lot of things happening, trying to get the swimming pool open. We've got rain, we've got, it's been busy. There is no one to publish on.
Okay.
When they have the chances and stuff,
I hope the people that's here don't take me wrong on the threat from the judge. But we've got the jail, we've got a jail to look at, we've got a social services building to look at that is in worse shape than
Okay, on discussion items, the first item, number 10, the fence down at the sheriff's office. There's a proposal to purchase some, basically some colored slats to sort of curb dress that area up and that fence up. We have an estimate here from Western Carolina Fence. This can be installed, as I understand it, by inmates. And so bottom line slats, 550, 625, or 810. And Kim, did you pick out which one, or this is?
What's the difference in all those different slats?
Kim's probably going to have to speak to this. She's actually been in touch with the fence company over
The
the slats.
perma hedge slat, the one that's more, it's more like a, it has like, it looks like grass. You know, it looks like a brush, and it goes down in it. It obscures more. You can't see through the fence as much. The other ones are just the flat slats. The bottom lock slat, it just slides in and it slides into a groove they supply at the bottom. Self-locking slat, it just locks itself. But you don't have to have that. I mean, you wouldn't, he just said the one that you fit yourself would be the best.
Is that like we've got over some of those, some of the
Yes.
sanitation sites?
And everybody needs to know this is just a temporary thing. This was just a temporary impound fence. It was not a permanent, it was not for a permanent fix. There was some cases, the impound yard out at the one that was at the sanitation is not usable. And we were paying big fines and paying hefty, when they would go before the court, the cars were damaged. And the county was paying more out of monies for these vehicles and losing the cases. And so the sheriff's department had to have a secure impound lot for this, for these vehicles that was under the control of the sheriff. So this is a temporary fence, and I want that to be put in the paper, please, that this is a temporary location. You know, to manage the site, if it's going to stay at the Wachovia building, that has to be fixed at the back. The county did not have the time or the money at the time to go ahead and fix that. Or the dirt. Danny has been looking for dirt to have given to the county. He's been unable to get any dirt given to us. So that would be something that the county's going to have to purchase, is even loads of dirt to get that leveled at the back. So I did want to make that known. And this was paid by impound fees, not by county dollars. So I
Well, it
want
sounds like
that
the
to be known
process
as
is to
well.
go with the one that's going to be the easiest to work with the rig whenever the fence is relocated.
You don't even have to put the slats in. If you don't think that it is a problem, you don't even have to put them in. That's totally up to the board.
I can see wasting money if it's just temporary.
Let's just wait.
Okay.
That's just an option you could have if you thought it was not.
You talk about the dirt, if you talk to the state,
No, sir, I have not checked the state, but I'll be more than happy to find out.
if you check with them, they probably would
Okay.
have some extra dirt they like to get rid of.
All right, so, tackle that. No. Next on discussion items, we received, Clerk Kim Chris received a request from Eno River Media, requesting a letter of support, asking also for a proclamation and a directive. This comes from the county, so we presented to the board. This is a production company, but they are more of a promotional group for the film industry. To be honest with you, I could not find any information to establish some credibility to the organization, and directives and the proclamations seem to be a little bit overreaching, so I would not make a recommendation to the board to take any action in regards to this. Are there any questions or comments? You can't hear me?
Thank you.
Oh, okay. It was in regards to the second item on the discussion items, the Eno River Media. They had made a request to the county commissioners to issue a letter of support, issue a proclamation, and also issue a directive to county departments and employees to support film industry, anyone making films in Graham County. I could not find anything that gave any credibility to the organization, so I was just saying to the board that I would not recommend any endorsement to this, probably just to leave it alone. Any other questions on that for the board?
I make a motion, we take no action.
Hang on.
They located in Raleigh?
Yes, ma'am. I searched on the web and wasn't a lot of information on them other than what they had, and basically the language in the directive that they were asking for the board to give, and the proclamation was a little bit too, actually a little bit overreaching. I mean, it's hard for us to say that they should expect us to support all types of film production.
There's a motion on the floor for no action.
Okay, I don't think we would go, where are you seeing all types of movement?
In section 108,
Okay.
and then under 107. And I also pulled some of the information off their website.
Well, I support the film industry.
Oh,
In
absolutely.
North Carolina, and certainly in this county. Have we ever done any endorsement like this? Anybody else?
To my knowledge,
Received
no.
requests like this?
Right, to my knowledge, no, and I even tried to do a search to see if there were any other local governments that had supported this as well, and I couldn't find anything. So, like I said, there just wasn't a lot of information out there on it for me to be able to make a recommendation in favor of it at this point. The film industry, I think, is a helpful industry in North Carolina. I just didn't have enough information on this particular item to say, we need to endorse this and go as far as to make a proclamation and issue a directive in so many ways.
I was here during both of the movies, and I didn't see that they'd done that much for Graham County. I was on scene at both places, The Fugitive and Nail.
Commissioner Williams made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'd like to have time to read this entire letter myself and look into it. Okay?
Sure.
I haven't even read the whole letter.
Well, I mean, it is at another time, postponed to another time.
Table it.
Everybody's
for information. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Very well, thank you. Next on the list is the replacement of Andy Cable on the health board, and the recommendation that came is for Marlene Carver.
Make a motion, we accept this, the Marlene.
Second.
All in favor?
Reappointment of the jury commission board to add Sue Lewis, Zelda McGuire, and Janice Stewart.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Replacement of Wendy Thomas on the CAC Center. This is the agent commission.
The advisory committee for the long-term
Care Board. And do we have a recommendation this year?
I did not have a recommendation. This is the Region A, the Southwestern Region That was the recommendation that was sent to us. For the local.
Why don't we give that some thought about who we need to put on there on the local?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because this president's member was nominated by the Southwestern. So this, we kind of need to have this a little bit more.
Okay. That's fine. There was nothing that came in to us. Next on the discussion items, NACO's with the National Association of Counties, request steering committee appointment of Commissioner Connie Ward to the Public Lands Steering Committee. So we recommend that anyone from the East can serve on public lands. NACO is serving needed. There's very little folks serving there from the East Coast.
We got a motion to appoint Connie Ward.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept Connie.
Second.
All in favor?
Next, I just want to let everyone know, just as an update, jail inspection, everything's fine. And good there, all repairs, everything we're okay. Next, we need an appointment to replace Ricky Gibson on the grounds committee.
Jeff,
Will be on
Eric, Raymond, serve on it.
it? Right.
I make a motion that we appoint Raymond to the grounds committee.
Second.
Very well. I got just a couple things for new business. I told a couple of you, I think as you came in, it seems like with the weather this week and whatever, we've had AC troubles in different facilities, so we've been running around trying to get some buildings fixed. Worst that we're dealing with right now is actually at the sheriff's department. Older unit down there, we patched this thing last year. We spent money, I can't remember how much, trying to fix, and we kept it running for another year. This year, pretty major breakdown, estimated about $7,500 to fix that unit. I asked David Hyatt, and he did. He sought out all the area, our contractors, and two were able to provide us a price. $7,500 to fix the unit. That seems to be breaking down pretty consistently. Lowest cost that came in was about $11,830. We are putting money into this unit $11,830 to put a new system in is worth it.
Did we bid that?
We have not bid it because I didn't have any idea how much it was going to cost, whether or not, look, is it better to pay $7,500? Because some of the prices that we've got in the past are saying $25,000 to fix this.
How much did we sink into it last year, Becky?
I'm working that up right now.
Okay.
I want to say it was several $1,000s, and not knowing whether or not it was received, I said, what, give me an idea, a ballpark idea. Because someone said $25,000, and but David did. I said, look, just contact all the area heating and air contractors, and let's just see, give them an opportunity to say what it's going to be, so that we can just take care of it.
So we figure about 11,000 for replacement.
Yeah, I mean, that is a qualified price and reaching out. I mean, all the, David, the area contractors that can do commercial have more contacted.
I requested 5, and 2 chose to submit. And so,
And that's the lowest.
that's yeah, I was actually surprised with the cost because I thought it would be, like I said, $25,000. The lowest price was about 11,600 or something like that.
11,800.
And that's total replacement.
I'm having to go through my, because we paid more than one vendor at the sheriff's department last year, so
Yeah.
we paid one vendor close to $4,100 just for the sheriff's department, and then there was another, that we paid. It's right at 5,000. Could have had a half in one ball.
Yeah.
So we just nearly paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest.
Just to
I mean,
patch
as
it.
far as,
Mhm.
yeah, the area, all the area heat and air contractors were notified and asked to give us a price on this. If you all would like to proceed with this, we can. They were notified, and only 2 chose to submit.
Okay. I make a motion that we replace the unit and do what we have to do to get it done.
I second.
Is that one with the lowest price? All in favor?
Very good, thank you. Maybe we keep one, get one fixed. And, you know, there's some of the repairs and things like that we're planning on doing around the sheriff's office. You know, some of those costs are going to be run through the debt service anyway, so that was on the list to be done.
Yeah.
But
That's one of the bills.
this is sort of, get us ahead of the game. The other thing is I got notice today, and I wanted to make the board aware, on June 19, 2015, at 10:30 a.m. at the Haywood County Courthouse in Waynesville, North Carolina, there will be a U.S. congressional hearing with the congressional U.S. House of Representatives in regards to the 2009-13 multi-agency Bearstein Operation Something Brewing.
Did you say what time?
Starts at 10:30 a.m. June 19th, that's on a Friday, at Haywood County Courthouse in Waynesville. And this will be a government form and oversight committee. We'll be having that in Waynesville. I'll be there. So they're coming there. They have submitted public letters for information to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, NC Wildlife, U.S. Forest Service, and the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, requesting all
privilege person policy.
So moved.
You want to take that?
Yeah.